Hey guys, welcome. Welcome back, welcome aboard, welcome home. Always completely dependent on where you are in relation to this channel, this message, and this energy. We are talking about Mercury Retrograde, which happens on the 27th of September and goes through the 18th of October 2021. This Mercury Retrograde happens at 11 minutes after midnight Central Time. Very exciting. Happens at 25 degrees Libra. Moves all the way back to 10 degrees Libra. So let's talk, right? So we have right now all of our social and transpersonal planets in retrograde motion. We know that retrograde motion just means that from our geocentric perspective, it appears through the magic of orbit that planets move backwards. Well, guess what? They don't. They just look that way, right? Because we know that perception is everything. And so energetically, what happens is that during retrograde motion, we are asked to look internally as opposed to moving through the world in our usual breakneck pace. And so Mercury, ruling communication and expression, ideas, the mind, information and data, messages, perceptions, eloquence, thought, rationalization and rationale, reason, communication, and writing, among other things. Like Mercury does not, Mercury does not care if you, we'll start it this way. Mercury doesn't care if you write it down or if you use American Sign Language, or if you use interpretive dance. It doesn't really matter to Mercury, just so you are in expression, right? So you can be clever or witty or reasonable. You can also be a chatterbox, highly critical, have very rigid opinions, or even detach from your emotions. All of those things work for Mercury. Libra is about one-to-one relationships, right? It doesn't matter whether that is with your lover, with your friend, with your mom, with your mailman, with your sister, with your boss, with your neighbor. It doesn't matter. It's how you relate to someone else. Now, Libra is the second of the air signs. It is ruled by Venus, right? So the thing about Libra, right, we talk about Libra as sometimes being harder to make decisions, but the thing is Libra is aware of every option. They just weigh the consequences a little more deeply, right? So a Libra understands how each decision affects every relationship in their life. That's why they take so long to make a decision. I know that doesn't help anyone when you're waiting for them to order in a restaurant, but it's just a fact. So this particular Mercury retrograde is about the nature of communication, right? So for the next almost 3 weeks, we're going to want to really be mindful of what we're saying, how we're saying it, and how it's landing, right? So this Mercury retrograde begins with Mercury squaring Pluto, asking us to always be mindful of the depth and power of our words. This Mercury retrograde begins trining Jupiter, asking us not to overpromise, but instead to underpromise and overdeliver, right? The Sun in Libra is conjunct Mars, trining Saturn and the North Node, right? Allowing us to be mindful of how we are always creating our actions, and mostly that our actions speak louder than our words, right? And not only do our actions speak louder than our words, but our actions are what create our future, our destiny, and our experience. So what you do every single day is what defines you, not what you say, right? We've also got a kind of a loose trine between Venus in Scorpio and Neptune in Pisces, asking us to find ways to inject beauty and harmony and balance and that nebulous, otherworldly, connected experience into what we are in creation of. During this Mercury retrograde, how we begin is also sort of how we end, right? So, wow. You know what? We're going to take both of those simply because 3 of these cards came up in our weekly What's Up, and I just feel like that is no accident. Yeah. So anyway, so we're talking about the big aspects that are going to happen during this Mercury retrograde. So let's just have a conversation about them, right? We have that square Pluto. Okay. We've also got the moon opposed to Saturn. We've got Venus squaring Jupiter, right? Finding ways to create according to our highest values, in alignment with what we want to create in this, during this retrograde. How do we want to do that? And how can we do it mindfully? How can we do it in a balanced way? How can we do it step by step, right? Later, this Mars is going to move in conjunct to Uranus, asking us to be able to shift and change, right? Think on your feet. And then Pluto moves direct, right? Saturn moves direct. Jupiter moves direct. Mercury moves direct. So as we are moving through this energy, again, how it begins, right? Challenging us to be mindful of the very nature of our communications is how it ends, right? With the Sun and Mars, wow, squaring Pluto. Look, guys, if you didn't watch the weekly What's Up, I'm going to urge you to do it right now, simply because this energy is obviously critical. Let's talk. The Ace of Wands, Queen of Pentacles. What is the universe giving you? How is the universe giving you something, asking you? You know, aces are opportunities. Pentacles are about worth. They're about resource. It's not just what you have in your hand, but it's what you have in your heart. It's not just what you have in your bank account, but it's what you have in your soul, right? And as this is clarified by this beautiful Queen of Wands, this is how are you being lit on fire from within? What is, where's your passion, right? We've got the Sun conjunct Mars for basically this entire Mercury retrograde, asking you to be mindful of how you're able to create through your passion. Where are you being called? Where are you being asked to dig in, dive in? Let your heart lead you to bigger and better things. Let your heart create that space of newness and openness, right? This is about bringing abundance in through following your heart's passion, right? What do you desire, and how can you get more of it in your life? So through this Mercury retrograde, right, this is about being mindful that your words are powerful. Your words are your message, but your actions have to be in alignment with those words, or it's just not going to work. We've got the Knight of Pentacles, slowest knight in the deck, but always moving forward. We've got the Ace of Wands here, right, echoing this energy. This is just a beautiful balance of moving forward based on your heart's passion, right? The universe is signaling you very, very clearly, right? 2 aces, absolutely the universe is signaling you. What you do with those signals, how you put your feet on the ground and move forward, it doesn't matter, right? Take your time. Take your time through this Mercury retrograde, but know that your heart is going to lead you no matter what. We've got the Chariot. We've got the Eight of Wands. This is about balanced forward motion, but also sure, swift forward motion, right? The Chariot is about balancing both sides, your head, your heart. It's about balancing your direction. It's about always being in constant recalibration of where you're going, right? And as we have that Sun conjunct Mars in opposition to Chiron, we want to make sure that where we're going is the right way. And we want to be in mindful course correction constantly, especially as Mercury is squaring Pluto, asking us to always be mindful of the depths, right? And as we have that grand air trine at the beginning of this Mercury retrograde, with the Sun and Mars trining both Saturn and the North Node, how you move is going to shape your destiny. How you move is going to draw your future to you. It's not that you're moving to your future. Your future is coming to you. Your future is coming to you, right? No matter how quickly you go, it's always coming to you. We have got Temperance. We've got the Three of Wands. Look, so Temperance is about synthesis. It's about recombining, right? The Temperance is about divine synthesis. It's about taking the things that you've already learned and recombining them. It's about transmutation and alchemy. The Three of Wands is about your future, right? This is knowing that your future is coming toward you. This is about understanding that those passions have set things in motion, and that motion has a beautiful way of creating something perhaps new, right? Something that you maybe didn't even think of with these two aces up here, right? You might not even have an opportunity to understand where you're going, but you're always going to know that you're going in the right direction because this, right? We have this beautiful, Temperance is such a beautiful card. It's, we've got 1 foot on land, 1 foot in the water. Again, asking us to really be mindful of balance between our hearts and our heads, right? In this Libra season, how are we creating balance in our life, in our experience, in our relationships? I think the answer is quite beautifully, right? The answer is in full awareness. That's how we're doing it, because there is no other way. Okay. We got the Seven of Cups and the Devil, right? We had both of these cards also in the weekly What's Up. So look, let's talk about this. Seven of Cups is illusion, right? Seven of Cups is having too many choices or choosing based on attachment, right? The Devil is 3D attachment. So look, where you're not in alignment with your highest and best, you're going to create from either illusion and attachment and external nonsense, or you're going to call into being and allow this divinely blessed manifestation. And how you choose to move is how you choose to move, right? You get to pick. The universe is giving you many, many blessings and options and opportunities to move forward based on your heart, right? Based on this fully supported, like, yeah, we're going in the right direction. And it doesn't matter if we're not going fast, we're still going to get there. But if you're stuck, if you're busy, if you're really trying to pull things in without synthesizing those lessons and really be mindful of how your future is taking shape in relation to those highest opportunities, your heart, and that balanced forward motion, you could definitely spiral backwards, right? Again, we've got to do the work. So knowing where we need to do that work and step up and step into the future that is being illuminated for us, right? Recreated, combined for us, that is showing up in big and beautiful ways. You know, I mean, where we've got that Venus trining Neptune at the beginning of this Mercury retrograde, really making sure that we understand the difference between 3D, what we have in our hand, and what we have in our heart, right? You do the work. That's a clear understanding, right? Very, very clear messaging right there. Beautiful. The 7 Star Sisters. Wow. Wow. Okie dokie then. So, so first of all, did y'all know that my favorite constellation is the Pleiades? You do now. So let's see if we can find this. Right, so beautiful. So the key here for Mercury retrograde is always to be mindful of how you're in communication, right? How your words are falling on the world, because we all know, right, that we have so much power in our words. Our words create and affect our journey. So how are you calling them in, right? Abracadabra. So you speak it, so it shall become. What are you speaking, right? What are you speaking? So let's have this conversation here. Birthing creations, the tapestry of life, expression. Well, of course. There are new creations that want to be born. You bet there are. Beautiful, or beauty that's yearning to be woven. New consciousness that's longing to be breathed into life. If you draw this card, you're being called to surrender to these creations, to usher in a new era of consciousness, and to do your bit in weaving the web of life, right? We have that opportunity to step up or to step down. This is the card of the artist and the midwife. You're being called to ponder questions. What wants to be birthed through you, right? What new creations are whispering in your ear? What beauty are you being called to make? Creativity and intuition come from the same sacred place. You bet they do, right? They occur when we find ourselves flowing with the rest of life. Earth is renowned as a planet of manifestation and creativity, and yet so many of us have forgotten how to create. Somewhere along the way, we stopped seeing ourselves as artists, as creatives, as poets. Yet to be human is to be creative. Creativity is part of your true nature. Perhaps you're being called to surrender to a creative project, such as a new business or a book. Or perhaps you're being called to weave beauty into your home or in the way you cook. Regardless of the end result, you're being called to express yourself through your creativity, to surrender to the creative projects that both scare and excite you, to find a way to weave beauty back into everyday life. For where there's creativity, spirit and soul are also present, and the world needs those qualities now more than ever. Right? So are you creating from your patterning, or are you creating from your inspiration, right? Hopefully the answer is that you're creating from your inspiration, and the way that we do that is to do it in a balanced manner and just allow ourselves to be in that flow, right, by doing the work. Distance, isolation, and perspective. Physical distance or emotional detachment serve to give us a greater comprehensive view. Distance may also provide a clearer overall perspective than a close-up would. From this vantage point, we can often get the big picture and reach a different conclusion. A solitary woman strolls a desolate beach, her isolation providing a point of reflection. Distanced from the influence of others, this is a scene of personal contemplation. The floating monoliths provide perspective and suggest distances with greater emphasis than would an empty sky. Perhaps representing issues in her life, their distance reinforces her isolation but may also provide her with the perspective and clarity of vision that she is seeking. We need to strike a balance when assessing a situation. Are we too closely involved, or should we step back, right? Are we too closely involved? Are we hauling things around? And what is our unique perspective, right? How are we in witness to these aspects of the work that we are doing in our lives? How are we in expression of them? And how can we, through this time of Mercury retrograde, just be silent, right? Suspend our motion at this moment so that we can birth something new, so that we can listen, right, with our souls to what the universe is asking us to bring into life. So again, utilizing that perception, right, utilizing that reason, and perhaps detaching from our usual sense of fire, and witnessing that fire and how it is inspiring us, how it's motivating us to move forward, as opposed to just being overwhelmed and diving in without, without that balance behind the way we're moving forward. And here's the deal: if we can do this, if we can synthesize this inspiration and move forward in a balanced way through this Mercury retrograde, if we can allow ourselves the time to ruminate, to think, to process, to really be in deep awareness of how we are balancing our expression, how we are balancing our ideas, how we are balancing our process of mind and perception with our fire, right, with our hearts, and allowing Three of Wands. I mean, this is a card of witnessing your passions come to life, right, in brand new ways. So the universe wants you to have all of those things in full expression, but it's asking you to utilize this time of retrograde to get your trajectory right? So that the place that you end up, the things that come to you, are not based on illusion and attachment, but on your highest purpose, your highest possibility, your highest expression, right? Your highest healed self. How do we do that? We do the work. We know. By the time this Mercury retrograde is over, Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto will all be direct. There's plenty of time for motion. Take this time. Take this time to breathe into what is coming. Take this time to really get your soul right in terms of what you're setting in motion. And then on the other side, then you create, then you move. Now, gather that data, process it, synthesize it, put it into action in your heart, in your mind, if not in the world, not just quite yet. Right. Breathe, guys. We're almost through this retrograde season. Dot all your I's, cross all your T's. Measure twice, cut once, and check, and triple check, right? Mercury retrograde. That's what we do. That's how we get through. Big blessings.